Okay, so what we're doing is training on how to use KVS right now. So we're working on this one that's going from KUL to CTS using Singapore Air miles. We're going to put in the date of the 5th of March. We don't really sell economy, so let's change the cabins to business and first class. It's the very bottom one, business and first. Okay, and it says 3 seats, and that's what it says over here. So now what you do is before you click go, click this gear at the top and choose launch another instance so that you can have 2 of them open. Okay, and slide over to the right. Slide one of them to the right so you can see both of them. Okay, and the one on the left is set up Singapore miles. It's got the cities and the date. So the one on the left, go ahead and hit the go button where I put the red X.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, hit the go button. So we'll let that one be thinking while we work on the one on the right. The one on the right, if you want to do a search, first you click awards and upgrades. And then you make sure you've got the right airline, and you do. Then you want to search the return. So let's hit the swap button and reverse the cities. Okay, now this is the return. So now you've got to minimize the KVS and find your return date unless you already know what it is. So hit this dash to minimize it and go. Okay, the one on the left said that there's no flights available. They must not fly there. And then the one on the right is coming back March 12th. So to bring your KVS back up again, you hit this blue button at the bottom and hit both of those to bring it up again. Hit the blue button again and hit the other one. Hit the blue button and then hit the one over here. Okay, so now you got them both back up again. So so put in the return date, March 12th, whatever. Hit the go button. And now you're searching the return. The outbound said that it's not available. So either they don't fly to CTS or there's no seats. But the point is, it popped up a window and said, can't do it. So boom, you're done. You don't have to waste any more time on it. Because remember, you don't get paid for wasting time finding out that you can't do it. You get paid for finding the ones that you can do and sending them a quote. So the ones that you cannot do, you want to eliminate them fast so that it doesn't waste any of your time. This is, okay, there's no flights. Let me just read this for a minute. You know what? I think that you might need to update your KVS. So close this and let's click the keys if your KVS needs to be updated. Because I can't imagine. So click these keys up here in the upper right and then check for updates. Oh, it is up to date. Okay, so you tried, it's not available, let's move on. Now, unless you actually started a quote, yeah, minimize both of those. Unless you actually started a quote, you don't need to go in and click new and put that you tried it and all that. Because that's only if you really did a search and you really tried it. This is just deciding without even going in there that you don't need to do it. You don't need to go in there and put in the workflow checklist that you tried it. You can just move on, okay? So we tried that one. We eliminated it. Once you get good at KVS, you could have done that in 30 seconds. Just look at it, put in the cities, hit the button. It said it doesn't work, so then you move on, okay? Here's one from Madrid to Sydney, okay? Obviously, if you want to go from Spain to Australia, going to Singapore along the way is a logical choice. So let's look at this one with the plus and make sure that the person who already did this one attempt didn't already do Singapore Air. So we're going to click edit to look and see what Blanca is doing. And give me a second. Okay, click itinerary info. Let's see what she's sending. Okay, this is Emirates. Good. So she's not sending Singapore Air. So let's go up to the financial info. And let's reserve Singapore Air, even though you're in her quote. Oh, excuse me, not financial info. I meant workflow checklist. Even though you're in her quote, you can still make changes to the workflow checklist from where we already are. So just go in here and double click on SQ Business and reserve that for yourself so that nobody else starts working on it. So change this to your name. And don't mark the completed yet because we're not completed. Just put working and click submit. Okay, now you can't do the quote here because you're in her quote. Go to the top and notice that it has her name on it, not yours. Go to the very top of your screen. See how it's got Blanca? This is one that she's working on. And as you can see, I haven't taught her to put the name and the Emirates miles here yet. I need to do that. That's something new that we recently came up with. So I'll go teach her, copy this name, put it here, and in front of that put EK, which stands for Emirates, EK4, and we'll show her that. She's not doing it because we just, that's a new thing. We just have started talking about that. Okay, so you are in her quote, so you can't do a quote from here. So you've got to hit the back arrow and get back where you were, or you can go back to quotes, quotes needed to get back where you were. Either way. Okay, so now we're going to get back to where we were. We found out that we are going to work on this one, and so hit new. Okay. When you want to start a new one and you want to actually work on it, that's when you hit new. Okay, the very first thing you do is copy the name and put it down here, and in front of that put SQ4. You're going to type SQ, just capital SQ. That stands for Singapore Air. Then put a space, the word for, copy the customer's name and put it there. And that way it's courteous to the other quoters, and when they pull up that list, they'll already know, oh, this is an SQ one. They don't have to go look at the itinerary to see what you're doing. Change that to researching. And you already did the workflow checklist when you were looking at Blanca's, but you don't have to do this again. You already did it a minute ago. So now click on financial info, and it's asking you, okay, what's the financial info? And eventually we're going to click this button right here and import some financial info, but we can't do that yet because we don't know what that information is yet. To find out what that information is, we go to our second tab to the award calculator, and we put SQ here because we're going to put SQ miles. Now we've got to go to either KVS or the Singapore website. If we go to KVS, it's because our date's flexible and we're trying to find out for sure it's available. But if KVS says it's available, that doesn't tell us the miles and the taxes. So if you want to, you can use KVS to find out the date that's available or that it's available, period. But after that, you have to go to the Singapore Air website to find out the miles. So let's go back to the request itself on your far left tab, and let's write down the information so that we don't have to keep flipping back here. So go to your request info, and what we're looking for is the city. So you can see the date is the 12th of February, and the date's flexible. So I'm going to write down on a piece of paper in front of me the 12th of February. I'm going to put a little squiggle so I know the date's flexible. Then the return date you see is the 26th of February. I'm going to write that down on a piece of paper in front of me, and I'm going to put a squiggle, which means it's flexible. I'm going to put a 1 for one person in business class, and I'm going to put my cities, Madrid to Sydney. Okay, so some people like to copy and paste this to a sticky note in the computer. Some people don't put it anywhere. They just keep flipping back here to read it when they need to. But personally, my style is I take that date and write it down. I take that date and write it down. I write down these cities. I write down a B and 1 for business class, one person, so that I don't have to keep flipping back here. But whatever your style is, okay. So now we've got the information either saved or memorized or written down, and then we're going to go to either KVS or the website. Notice, because the date is flexible, to me that says let's go to KVS first and find out what date is available instead of fishing around on the website for dates that are not available. You see what I mean? The website's slower than KVS, so I might as well use KVS first to find out what date is available. So click on both of the KVSs on this blue airplane so that they're both on your screen. So go down to the bottom and click that blue airplane and click on both of them so they both come up. Okay, click the other one now. Okay, now you have them both up, so you can work on 2 of them at once, okay? So therefore, what I like to do is, first of all, it's on SQ, which is what we're specializing in. Now let's put in the city, Madrid, M-A-D, and go to Sydney. And then we'll put in our date, which is the 12th of February. Hit this calendar and get the 12th of February.
SYD, okay. All right.
Yeah, SYD, okay, 12th of February. So what I'm training you on right now is how to use KVS to save yourself some time so you can be faster. We could be doing this on the Singapore Air website, but doing it here on KVS is faster. And why are we on KVS? Because we're trying to find out which date is available so that when we go to the Singapore website, we already know a specific date we're looking for. Because remember, this customer is flexible, plus or minus 3 days, anywhere around 12th of February. Okay? And let me show you a little trick. When you're looking for dates, hit this swap button so that we have actually two versions of KVS that are both looking for the outbound. We're not even looking for the return yet. We're going to concentrate on looking for the outbound. The reason we're using two different ones to look for the outbound on 12th of February, put 12th of February on both of them. Okay. The reason we've got it in here twice is because this one on the left, we can hit the 12th of February, so hit the go button, which is hiding right here. And then the one on the right, hit the down arrow to look for a date. Wait, it's not supposed to be 3 people. Change this 3 to 1.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, if you started it, you can stop it with this X up here. Okay, now look what happened on the left. It says that they don't even fly there. Okay, so now we have two choices. First of all, in 5 seconds flat, we found out, wait a minute, it looked logical for Singapore to be used because you go from Spain to Singapore to Australia, it's logical. But in 5 seconds, we put Madrid, Sydney, and they said we don't fly there. That was what that error was that popped up. So now we have two choices. We can either give up or we can try a different city. And then later we'll get them a flight from Madrid to that different city, okay? Now, as the Singapore Air specialist, you're gonna know what cities they fly from in Europe. When we're not busy in a meeting, ask me for a list of the cities and I'll give you a list of them. Or you can get them online by Googling it. But the cities that are close to Madrid, we're gonna try a few cities that are close to Madrid. If they don't fly there, you have two choices. You either give up or you try a different city. Why would I try a different city? Because we can get them a flight from Madrid to somewhere else and then complete the trip. You see what I mean? Well, let's say we're planning on, instead of giving up, let's try and make a quote out of this. Let's just go from a different city. Well, what's near Madrid that Singapore flies to? As a Singapore specialist, real soon, you're just going to know that they fly from Zurich. So try ZRH on the top line, okay? Just type ZRH. Highlight the whole thing, type ZRH, and then just get out of it by clicking up here on anywhere out of the box. Okay, now it's the 12th of February, hit go. At least we're not going to get an error that they don't fly there. Then on this one over here, you'll put a different city that we know they fly to. For example, another one that they fly to is MXP, which stands for Milan, MXP. Okay, and then hit go. Well, change this back to the 12th of February first. Oops. Hit the red X if you want to stop it. Change this to the 12th of February. This one we're going to leave on the same day because we're trying a different city. So now hit go. Now the one on the left gave us some results, and I need to teach you how to read these results. What you're looking for is anything that says CS plus. If it says CS plus, the C means business class, or it could say FS plus. F means first class. So either FS plus or CS plus is good. F or C in the first one, S in the second one is good, and a plus at the end is good. Plus means available, S means super cheap or saver, and C means business class, and F means first class. So we're looking for either F, S plus, or CS plus. None of these are FS plus or CS plus, are they? It's CS and a squiggle, which means that it's waitlisted, and it's FS and the @ symbol, which means it's waitlisted. If you see a slash, that's no good. If you see a dash, that's no good. If you see a squiggle, that's no good. The only thing that's good is a plus, okay? So this, because we don't see any CS plus or FS plus, it's not available. So what we have to do is hit the up arrow to try a day earlier, let's say, okay? And the one on the right, same thing. There's no FS plus, there's no CS plus. So hit the up arrow to try a day earlier, okay? So we're checking two different cities at once, and we're going backwards a day at a time because he said he was flexible. Okay, the fact that this said there's no flights means that it's not available. So close that and then hit the up arrow again. And this one over here, look at this. Here's FS Plus. We can send a first class quote on this one, but we're going to have to get him a flight from Madrid to Milan because this is starting in Milan. So we'll save this one because we found it. We found FS Plus. It's not CS Plus. It's not cheap. It's first class. The guy would probably rather have CS Plus. So we'll save this in the background by hitting the gear and then duplicate it. We'll hit the gear, duplicate it, launch another instance, and just leave this one in the background that we've got mixed up and slide this other one over the top of it. And now we'll try different day. Let's try the 13th of February for Milan. And you just flip around different days, hit the go button on this one and see if it's available a different day. Okay, and the one on the left, it keeps giving us an error code, so they apparently don't fly there these days. So let's, on the one on the left, let's switch to a different city, and let's say Frankfurt, FRA at the top. Okay, and let's go back to the 12th of February on FRA. And let me show you a little trick on the one on the right. Let's do the one on the right FRA also because this Milan one isn't working out. So we'll put FRA on the right and we'll put a different day like the 13th and hit go. Okay, so now we're trying Frankfurt on the 12th of February and we're trying Frankfurt on the 13th of February all at once. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so let's see if we get any CS. We're really looking for CS Plus. We found FS Plus, and that's nice, but it's not as good as CS Plus. Okay, so on the 12th and 13th, there's no CS Plus. So this one on the right, hit the down arrow to go to the 14th. The one on the left, hit the up arrow to go to the 11th. Okay, so doing it this way is a lot faster than trying to use the website because you notice how you can change the city easily. You can change the day just by hitting the up arrow, the down arrow. This is a lot faster. So what we found so far is just a first class. So let me think what another city would be. Oh, here's one. We found a CS Plus right here. Now the next thing we want to do is look at this and make sure it's not a giant long layover. Look at this. They get there at 6:50 in the morning and they don't leave till midnight the same day. So they're going to be there like all day, 12 hours. So that one we'll save in the background because it'll work. We can make a quote out of it, but it's not as good as it could be. So hit the gear to launch another instance. And you wouldn't necessarily spend this much time on one quote. I'm spending this much time to show you how to do it, that there are a lot of different possibilities that you can try if you're determined to send them a quote. If you're determined to make that buck, then there's a lot of tricks that you can do to find availability. Like I said, you wouldn't necessarily try this many dates or this many cities because it depends on, your time, how much your time is worth. But I just want to do a real thorough search to show you how, okay? So we found a couple of mediocre choices. One was first class, which means it's going to be expensive. The other one's business class. It's cheap, but he has to be in Singapore from 6 in the morning till midnight. Now, some people might like that. They can go shopping. They can take a bus tour. They might like that. But let's see if we can find something better. So let's go to a different city. Let's go to AMS at the top on both of these. Put one of them on the 12th and put one of them on a different day. So I'm just showing you that you can change cities quickly. That's a lot faster to change cities. Hit the go button over here. It's a lot faster to change cities by just changing it on this than it is to go to the website and move around. Okay, so let's see, we've got 12th. How about we do the 13th, which means we're going to hit the up arrow on this one. Or you can do it the way you did it, that's fine, and hit go. You can either, okay, there's nothing on the 12th, so click on the gray area and then hit the up arrow to go back a day to the 11th. Hit right here on the up arrow.
Come on.
And this one that's on the 13th is still thinking. So we're looking at Amsterdam to Sydney. The only reason I'm showing you this is you can find other cities, and if you find something available in another city, I'll eventually show you how to get a flight from Madrid to, you know, Frankfurt or Amsterdam. Okay, hit the down arrow to try this one, and then on the one on the left, hit the up arrow again. We're looking for CS Plus. We never did find anything really good for this. So you could give up at this point and move on, because what we found is, okay, I mean, you can make a quote out of it. You can make a first class quote. You can make a business class quote that has a long layover. Here's another long layover. They get there at 6 in the morning. They don't leave till midnight. This +1 means the next day, and the +2 means the second day. So this one on the that you're looking at here, let me see, let me erase this. What you're looking at here, these two lines go together. This line goes with this line. You can tell because there's an arrow right here that they go together. See how this goes from Amsterdam to Singapore, and then from Singapore to Sydney. So those two flights go together. And notice how it leaves at 10:25 in the morning on the 14th of February, and it gets to Singapore at 5:55 a.m., and this +1 means the next day, okay? But then it doesn't leave Singapore until the second day, which means just after midnight. So it gets to Singapore at 6 in the morning, 5:55, and doesn't leave till 18 hours later at midnight the second day. This is the first day after the trip begins. This is the second day after the trip begins. So it gets it there at 6 in the morning, doesn't leave till after midnight, which is, you know, early in the morning on the second day. Do you see what I mean? So that's a long layover. It's what, 18 hours or something like that. So that one you could make a quote, but it's not a great, I mean, are they going to buy it? You know, probably not unless they want to go shopping in Singapore. So let's try for another day. Hit the down arrow again. Try for another day. And the one on the left, it says they don't fly that day. It says there's no flights available, which means they don't fly that day. So the one on the left, hit the up arrow to go back another day. So we haven't really found anything really good. All we found was something with an 18-hour layover, and then we found one that was first class. Here's another one with an 18-hour layover. It gets there at 6 in the morning, doesn't leave till after midnight, 45 minutes after midnight. Oh, here's one at the top. Here's a good one. Let's look at the one at the top. Okay, the one at the top is excellent. So here's an excellent one, a perfect one. Okay, true, it's on the 9th of February, but he said he was flexible plus or minus 3 days. So we can make a quote out of this one, and not only that, it's a good quote because it has a short layover. See, it gets there at 6 in the morning and leaves at 7. They're only there for an hour, right? And it's CS Plus, which means it's cheap. So we found a really good outbound. Of course, it is the wrong city, so we're going to have to get them from Madrid to Amsterdam still, but still we can do that. Okay, so let's write that down. We'll put, okay, we found the 9th of February. We found Amsterdam to Sydney on the 9th of February. Now, the only problem is it leaves at 10 in the morning. How are we going to get from Madrid to Amsterdam? He has to check in 3 hours early, so we'd have to find a flight that arrives at 7 in the morning in Amsterdam. That's not going to work. You're not going to be able to get from Madrid to Amsterdam and arrive at 7 in the morning, I don't think. Let me show you how to find out. So now I'm going to train you on a website called Matrix, and let's just see if it's even possible to use this flight. It's probably not possible to use it. So we're about ready to give up on this reservation because we didn't find anything good that'll connect. So let me show you. Go to a new tab. Well, actually, you have Matrix open up here already. So go to Matrix and put in here just one way for now, just to see if there's a flight at that time. And put from Madrid, MAD to AMS, because we're trying to connect up with that flight, MAD to to AMS. And I bet you on the 9th of February, put the 9th of February here, I bet you there's not a flight that'll get them there at 7 in the morning. So in other words, that's going to be a good reason to give up on this one. Okay, the 9th of February, this short flight could be anything because they're not going to care about this short flight being economy. But just to make sure that we get them the best, let's go business class or higher on it. And this currency down here is always USD for US dollars. And really we want a nonstop because we don't want to have to make another plane change just to get to, so change that to nonstop and then hit search. And we're trying to find out if there's a flight that arrives in Amsterdam at 7 in the morning, because remember the flight leaves at 10 and we got to get there 3 hours early to make the connection. So let's slide down this page and see if there's any of them that arrive at 7 in the morning. This is the arrival column. So slide down this page. We're looking for anything. See, there's nothing that arrives at 7 in the morning. Okay, we can go back and we can try again. Go back to modify search right here. Click modify search and change this to the cheapest available. Maybe there's a flight that's not business class that's just cheap. Let's go down and search one more time. We do use economy flights for these short flights. And what we're looking for is anything that arrives at 7 in the morning. What you can do is you can click this arrive button and it'll sort them all for you. Sort by arrival time. In fact, you can click it. Well, it doesn't look like there are any that arrive early morning. So just close that. Well, let's see. You didn't hit the hit arrival time and then hit sort by arrival time. Arrival time, sort by arrival time. Then close this with the X. There's nothing that arrives at 7 in the morning. So this isn't possible. So we're going to abandon this. So go back to your quotes needed. I'm just showing you, I mean, you wouldn't have necessarily tried this hard on this one, but I'm just showing you that there is a point where it's not worth your time to keep on going. Because remember, you make $1 if you send a successful quote. If it's not available, it's not available. So go down to the workflow checklist and explain that you tried, but there wasn't anything good. So what we'll do is we'll put, double click the word SQ, get back into it, and put completed here with the X, and then put the reason that you abandoned it. Put found first class only. Because we did find one that was first class, but this guy isn't asking for first class. So click submit. We found business class, but the layovers were too long, so we didn't use those. Okay. Now, when you get really good and really fast, and you're able to make a quote fast, I would go ahead and send him a first class option. But in the beginning, where you're not all that fast, I would concentrate on the easy ones, the good ones that are obvious. So this one would require some advanced quoting skill, because you'd have to send him probably first class going and business class coming back. And one of our advanced quoters will be able to come along and do this one quickly. But as a beginner, I would not try and do it. Wait until you're more experienced. So my advice is, if he's asking for a business class and all you found was first class or things with long layovers, in fact, let's put that in here. Go back in here and let's modify that. And we'll put found first class only, comma, and business class with 18-hour layovers, and business class with 18-hour layovers. With 18-hour layovers. You might run out of room here. You might have to abbreviate some of that. But hit submit. And that way, an advanced quoter who comes along who says, now highlight this and you'll be able, or hover over it. I think you'll be able to read it all. Hover over it. Yeah, you can read it all once you hover over it. So even though you can't see it all there, you just have to hover over it and you can see it all. So found first class only in business class with 18 hours layover. Well, that means I don't want to do it because that's too hard for me, but if you want to try, go ahead. Okay, so we're going to go back to quotes needed at the top of your screen. As a beginning quoter, you want to concentrate on the easy ones that you can do fast. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, easy ones we can do faster first. Okay, London, Melbourne. This is a good one because it's logical to go through Singapore to get from Europe to Australia. So let's see what's been done already. Hit the plus. And these are two that have been sent already. She hasn't been trained to put in here SQ or whatever, so we're going to have to go look at them. And so hit edit to look and see what she did. Just quickly go look at the itinerary, make sure it's not Singapore Air. That one's not Singapore Air, so we're good. So let's go back, hit your back arrow, and get back and look at the other one. Yeah, and look at the other one. Make sure it's not Singapore Air. This is Emirates. Okay, so we're safe. So go up and request workflow, say we're going to work on Singapore Air. You can do it while you're still in her quote because this request workflow goes to everybody. Find SQ Biz, double click it, put in there working, your name and working so that nobody else works on it. Working, submit. Okay, now you cannot do the quote here because you're in her quote. Go to the top and notice that you're in her quote. So you can't make a quote here. So instead you go to quotes, quotes needed, or you can hit the back arrow to get back, either way. And then you're going to hit new because you are going to start a new one. So just find that same name, which is right here, and hit new. Okay, and now let's write down the information of what they want. And notice that it's flexible. As soon as you see that it's flexible, plus or minus 3 days, that means we're probably going to use KVS to find out what date is available. So let's go copy the name of the person and put it where it belongs under name and put in front of that SQ4. So copy this name. Stand by just 1 minute, everybody. Okay. So copy the name and put SQ4 up here. Right there. You copy the name from the black box and put SQ4 and then put the name in there. Give me just a second. I need to be sidetracked for a minute. Hold on just a minute. I'll be right back. Okay. So yeah, you did that, and now you've. Sorry, I'm almost done. Okay, you did that. You put the name and the SQ miles here. You changed the researching. Now what I would do is I would write down this information. They want the 8th of February, and I'm going to put a squiggle because it's flexible. And then they want the 3 of April, and I'm going to put a squiggle because it's flexible. You know, that little tilde sign. I'll put the cities they want. London to Melbourne is for one person, business class. So I've made myself some notes so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. Okay, so since it's flexible, what I like to do is start out with KVS first. So bring up 2 KVSs, and I would suggest that we use, you can close 2 of those because we gave up on that Singapore Air one. Hit both of those. Put in the cities, which are LHR to MEL. So the cities go here, LHR to MEL. change that to LHR to MEL. MEL. And the date is the 8th of February. Okay, the 8th of February. And because the date's flexible, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the gear and duplicate this so I can check 2 dates at once. Now, I'm not going to check the return yet. I'm just going to check 2 different dates for the same outbound. So the one on the left, I'm going to hit go, so it could be searching. And then the other one, I'm going to hit the up arrow or the down arrow and choose a different day. So one of them is searching the 8th of February and one is searching the 7th of February for the same thing, London to Melbourne on Singapore Air. Okay, so this is saying that, let me see how to put this. Every once in a while, you have to go log into your KrisFlyer account to re-authorize it, okay? And you're probably borrowing somebody else's Singapore Air account. So let's go to settings and see what the Singapore Air number is. This is saying that you need to reauthorize yourself. They're wondering why so many people are searching on this website. So at this point, you've got 2 choices. You either contact the person who owns this account, and this account I happen to own, so I'm going to be able to go in and reinvigorate it for you or reauthorize it for you. But probably normally what it really means is you need to go to Singapore Air and sign up for your own account and put your own account number here and your own password in here, so that when they ask you to reauthorize it, you can go to the Singapore Air website and do it for yourself, because you're not going to always be able to contact me. And just a second while I go reauthorize it. So what I'm going to recommend to you when you see that message is to go sign up for your own free Singapore Air account. And the reason you need your own free account is because once in a while the account gets locked. They have to send you a new password. And once in a while, this happens where they want you to log in and prove that you're not a robot. See, their computer just noticed that you've been doing a lot of searches using this same account number. And they're saying, wow, I wonder if you're a robot. I wonder if you're a computer, or are you a real person? Let me see what happens when I try and log in on my account. Actually, let me show you. I'm going to change it so you're looking at my screen. While I'm doing this, Dan, go to a new tab and go to singaporeair.com and sign up for your own free account. And everybody who's watching should do that. Just go to singaporeair.com. The account's free. You're not going to buy anything through it. You're not going to use any miles or book anything through it. But you need your own account number so that the account gets locked. They can email you a new password and things like that. So just go in and click on sign up at the top right. Sign up, and then just put in your real name and address and phone number and everything, so that you'll have an account to use to search with. If you're a specialist for a particular airline, you do need to probably have your own account, so that if this happens, you can reinvigorate it or reauthorize it or reset the password and things like that. Because it'll have your email address in there, and they'll contact you. Yeah, see on my screen, it's asking me to prove that I'm not a computer, prove that I'm not. I'm just redoing mine on my computer. What do you call it? Reauthorizing it, proving that I'm not a computer, proving that I'm not a robot. So this is London to Melbourne. It means that I have to do the search manually on my computer, so that it gives me, click the box shows that I'm not a computer. Let's see, Melbourne. Give me a minute, I'm still reauthorizing it. 8th of February. By that I mean I'm proving I'm not a computer by doing it manually. Search, and then it's going to ask me for the CAPTCHA. Okay, so yeah, go ahead and sign up for your own free account. Here's the CAPTCHA it's asking me for, WELL. Just reauthorizing this one. You're not going to buy anything through this account or book anything through this account. It's just going to be used for searching. So yeah, skip that. And go down to the bottom and enter that security code B656. Put a street address there. So each of you that are watching should do that also. Go sign up for your own free Singapore Air account. Okay, did it give you an account number yet? It might email it to you, I'm not sure. So whatever email address you used, go to that email. And actually, let me show you one thing. You should, yeah, that'll work. Go ahead and do it that way. There you go. So click that, oh, excuse me, click that so you can activate your account. To activate your account, click here. And then be sure and write down your account number and password because you'll be using it over and over all day, every day. It says log in, so it's probably going to log you in and show you your account number and everything. So each of you go, okay, your activation has been processed. Please log in. So did it give you a membership number yet, or do you have to go get it out of your email? Let's see. See if there's another email that gives you your membership number.
No, nothing.
Click on all mail on the far left where it says more. Click on more.
Okay.
And then choose all mail. And see if there's something there.
Here.
Welcome to Chris Flyer. Let's see. There's your number. So write down that number, that 882 number. You know what I do is I actually tape it to my computer monitor because you're going to need it every day, all day. So you put it someplace where you can see it. And then remember your password, obviously. But put it someplace where you'll always have it right in front of you, always handy. Believe it or not, I take a piece of paper and I write it out on a piece of paper and I tape it to the side of my computer monitor, because then I don't have to click anything. I don't have to flip anywhere. It's right there in front of me all the time. And then whenever you log in, you know, you can just boom, 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 type it in. And of course, after a while, it saves it. Okay, so we're always going to click on redeem flights.
Okay, so what's the next step?
You click on redeem flights. Oh, the next step, take your account number and put it in your KVS so that you're using your account instead of mine. So to do that, first you got to close all your KVSs. So click this blue airplane and close them all, or you can just right click on that blue airplane and choose close all windows, or just close each one individually like you're doing. Okay, so when you point to it, nothing pops up, so you know nothing's open. So now just open one of them. When you change the settings, you have to have just one of them open, not a bunch of them. Okay, and then go to the settings tab on the far right, and then change that number to be your number instead of mine. Paste it in there and then put in your PIN code or your password, whatever. Okay, now you don't have to save it because this save button is already checked and it'll save automatically. So just go over here to award upgrades and let's click go again and see if it works now instead of giving you that error. Yeah, it's working. See how it says waiting for response and stuff like that down here. So that means it's thinking. So it's working. Where before, when you were using my account, it was saying, wait a minute, there's somebody in the Philippines using this account and somebody in America using this account, and we think you're a computer robot. So it stopped, you know. So that's why you had to go get your own account so you weren't using mine anymore.
Is it a CS plus?
Yeah, there's a CS plus. Okay, now let's look at the layover. Layover is pretty good. Gets there at 6:10 the next day, and it leaves 4 hours later at 10:45. You see that? That's a good one. And this is the 8th of February, which is exactly the day he wants. So that one's a good one. So we're going to write that down, 8th of February. You can even write down the flight numbers if you want to. It's SQ305 and SQ217. But you don't know how many miles it takes yet. You're going to have to find that out from the website. The only thing you found out from KVS is that the 8th of February is a good day. This is what you found out. Because that's what you're doing is you're clicking the down arrow, the up arrow, until you find a day that does have CS Plus available and it has a good short connection. This one gets there at 6:10 in the morning. Let's analyze this carefully for a minute. So this is SQ, that's Singapore Air, flight 305, leaves from London at 9:15 in the morning to go to Singapore. It gets to Singapore at 6:10 a.m. This +1 means the next day. And it's available in business class, super cheap, which is called Saver, and plus means it's available with at least one seat, which is what you asked for. The plus means there's this many seats available or more. So if you put a 2 here, then the plus means there's at least 2 seats available. If you put a 3 here, the plus means there's at least 3 seats available, okay? The plus means that whatever you put here is available. The S means it's available super cheap, which is called Saver, and the C means it's available in business class. So that's perfect. It gets there at 6:10 the next morning, which is what the +1 means. Then the same +1, the same day, it leaves at 10:45, which means it was only in Singapore for 4 hours, okay? And then gets to Melbourne that same next day, which is still +1 from when the trip began. The +1, it starts from when the trip began. +1, this is still +1 the same next day. This is still +1 the same next day. Okay, if it said +2, that means now it's the second day after the trip began. This one arrives the second day after the trip began. Okay, that's what these +2 means. So that's obviously a longer layover. If it leaves at the same time, it gets to Singapore at 6 in the morning, but doesn't leave till 11 at night, that's like an 18-hour layover. That's why it doesn't get there till 2 days later instead of 1 day later. We do not want this one, but we do want this one. You see what I mean? So if you want to, you could write down the flight numbers, SQ305 and SQ217. Okay, so now we're going to work on the return. To do that, all you do is hit the swap button, reverse the city, now put in the return date, which is the 3 of April. You hit your calendar, put the 3 of April. You can see that once you get the hang of this, you can go really fast at this. Okay, now we have to hit the go button to search the 3rd of April. And if we don't get the 3rd of April right away, we're going to open up a second KVS so that we can search two different dates at once by hitting the up arrow on one, the down arrow on the other one, and just keep hitting until we find a date that's available with CS Plus and a short layover. If you don't find any CS Plus, then as a last resort, we use FS Plus, which is first class. It's more expensive, it's nicer, but it doesn't sell as fast because it costs more. Okay, so we got nothing. So now what you're going to do is hit the gear to launch another instance so you can search 2 days at once. And then on the left, you're going to hit the up arrow, and on the right, you're going to hit the down arrow. So the one on the right, hit the down arrow to search the next day. The one on the left, hit the up arrow to search the day before. So now they're both searching. Did you hit the down arrow? It doesn't look like, oh yeah, you did. Okay, so the one on the left, see how it switched to the 2nd of April? The one on the right, see how it switched to the 4th of April? The 3rd of April was not available. So now we're searching both the 2nd and the 4th at the same time, looking for CS Plus or as a last resort, FS Plus. So there's no CS Pluses on the left, and there's no FS Pluses. And he's flexible, so hit the up arrow again on the left. He's done thinking. And this one, is there any CS Plus or FS Plus? No. Hit the down arrow. So what we're learning here is how to use KVS to find out what date is available. Okay. Okay, so nothing yet. So hit the down arrow on the right again and the up arrow on the left again. We're using KVS, which is faster than the website, in order to search multiple days to find out what day is available. Slide down and look for a CS Plus. Okay, this one over here, no CS Plus, so hit the up arrow on the left and the down arrow on the right again. We might be getting to the end of his flexibility. Okay, so then this is when we've either got to try a different airline or a different city, because Singapore Air doesn't have it. The fact that we got Singapore Air okay in one direction tells me that I should not give up. I should figure out a way to get the other direction. So to get the other direction, I have two choices. Remember, we got the outbound. We got the 8th of February in a CS Plus, but we don't have the return. And we tried Singapore Air, and it's not available in Singapore Air. So now we have to make a decision. We have two choices. We either choose a different city, then we'll use a separate flight to get them to the right city, or we have to use a different airline at the top, okay? So let's first try a different airline, because it's simpler to use a different airline than it is to try and put together. So let's try the airline at the top. Even though this is not your specialty airline, you're still going to try and use it if you have to, because your specialty airline was not available. Okay, so let's do the same thing we just did, but we're going to use a different airline now. And what we're going to do is go back to the 3rd of April, which is his first date, first choice. So change this back to the 3rd of April. and then hit go. And then the one on the right, change it to that same AC because we're going to try a different date using AC. And then let's put this one the 4th of April and hit go. Okay, now this is saying that the Air Canada is what we're trying to use is Air Canada miles now. And this is saying that at this time of day, their website's always down for maintenance. So see how it's unavailable until 11 o'clock London time. So mark yourself a little note to come back and try this again after 11 a.m. London time. Okay, so you just have to Google it and see what time it is in London right now. And until it's 11 o'clock London time, you cannot use AC because every single day at the same time, their website is down for maintenance. And it so happens that it's down for maintenance right now. So when you see awards AC is unavailable until such and such a time, that's what it means. It's unavailable until that time. The time zone they're using is London time. So you just Google it. What time is it in London right now? Figure out how many hours it is until it's 11 a.m. in London. And then that's when you can come back and try. Just go to time now in London or London time. That'll work. Time now in London or whatever. Okay, so it's 6 a.m. So it's not going to be working until 5 hours from now because it's not going to be working until 11 a.m. So you got to write yourself a little note. If it's, let's see, right now, what is it, about 2 o'clock or something in the Philippines? So
6 p.m.
Yeah, so 6 p.m. your time. Is it 1 o'clock the Philippines right now, or is it 2 o'clock?
1:53 p.m.
Okay, so it's almost 2 o'clock. So 5 hours from now is going to be 7 p.m. your time. So you can come back and try this again at 7 p.m. your time. So in the meantime, let's go back to KVS and try a different airline for the return. We found the outbound. What we're looking for is the return. So go to KVS, just click your blue airplane here at the bottom, and bring up both of those KVSs again. And instead of AC, because their website is down, let me tell you the ones, make a list of the ones to try. So you're going to try AC. You already tried SQ. You're going to try QF, BA, CX. So write these down. These are the ones that you try. You skip the others. So you always try, if you're missing a return and you're trying to find a return, you're going to always try AC, SQ, QF, BA, CX, AF, EL, and BS. You could try this one too. You can try all of those. Okay, so we're trying to find a return. So basically, we're going to try almost everything on the list. But you skip this NH and M&M, and you skip AZ, you skip JL. You'll get to know those. If you're not sure, try them all. It doesn't hurt anything to try them all. Okay, so we're going to go try a different one. We already tried AC, so the next one on the list is to try QF. So hit the 3rd of April and hit go. One on the right. The 4th of April, change it to QF, and the one on the right. What we're doing now is we're trying other airlines besides Singapore Air because Singapore Air didn't have the return. Okay, there's a CS Plus, but it's only one piece of it. It's not both flights. So that means it's not available. So hit the down arrow on that one and hit the up arrow on the left. And so we're trying this. Okay, that Y means economy, so it's not business class. We need it to be a C. And this said no award availability. So we tried 3 days in a row on QF, not available. So let's change the airline again to BA. That's the next one on both of them. Change them both to BA. And then hit the up arrow to try the 4th, and the one on the left, change it to BA. then hit the down arrow to try the third. So now we're back to trying the third and fourth again. And by the way, when it gives you a chance, you'd probably want to change this cabins to just be business and first instead of searching everything, because we don't use economy. Okay, there's no CS plus there. By the way, if it gives you CS and a number, that's good. If it said CS9, CS4, that's good. It's the same as a plus. Just a second, I gotta answer the phone. Okay, so see if it said CS3, CS4, CS5, that's the same as a CS plus. Some airlines say plus and some airlines have a number. The number is how many seats are available. So if this said CS4, that's good. It could say CS2, that's good. It could say CS1, that's fine. But these are all CS0. That means they're not good. So on the right, hit the down arrow. On the left, hit the up arrow. Okay, the left hit the up arrow again, the right hit the down arrow again. And that's enough. If it doesn't find it, then quit. You just go a day or two any direction to see if you can get something a different date. Okay, so then hit the airline and switch airlines again. Switch to the next one on the list, which would be, don't use JL, that's one of the ones you skip. Go to CX. CX is a good one. You'll learn these real quick, which one to use. CX is Asia miles. So you use that one. Change it to all, put it the one at the bottom, business and first, hit go. The one on the right, oops, you need to go get yourself an Asia miles number. So instead of doing that right this minute, do it later when you have time. So to get an Asia miles number, it's called Cathay Pacific. You go to Cathay Pacific and you sign up for a free reward account, but don't do that right now because you can do that later. Everybody needs to go get themselves an Asia miles account. Actually, let me get you a, give me a second. I want to give you a link that will bring you just to the right place to sign up, and everybody will have that link. Just a moment. My computer's thinking. I want to Skype you a link so that you all can go sign up for a free Asia Miles account. Let's see. This that I'm teaching you right now, where you're trying to combine two different airlines, that's really more advanced quoting. While you're first starting, you probably would have just given up on this one and moved on because it wasn't available both. But I'm going a step further and showing you some more advanced techniques right now, where you combine two different airlines. It's okay at first as a beginner if you just skip it if it's not available both ways. But if you want to be able to do a lot more quotes, you need to learn how to combine two different airlines, which is what we're doing right now. Searching for any airline on the return and then just combining the two. I am trying to get you this link that'll get you to Asia Miles the best. Stand by. I need to do a couple things.
All right.
Take a break for a minute. Oh, while you're waiting, just switch to a different airline. You can come back to Asia Miles after you have your own account filled in there. So the next one to try is Air France AF, and hit go, and put AF in the other one. And try it for the 3rd of April plus, up arrow, down arrow on all of them. Going to get that Asia Miles link to make it easier for you. Let's see. Here we go. I'll put this in your Skype. My computer is slow when I'm sharing screen. Okay, now I'm getting to Skype. Okay, I just put it in Skype for you. And later on, when you have time, be sure and go there and get an account. Any of these airlines we work with, you should eventually get your own account there to use just for searching. And I'm going to go save this on a sticky note now. Okay. All right. So you guys all see that in your Skype. Okay, so here's a CS Plus, Air France, Melbourne to London. And here's a return. Oh, they're both 3rd and 4th. Okay, so he wants a 3rd. So we'll use this one as the return part of it. So write down these 2 flight numbers, CZ322 and CZ303. One comment, if it's available on Air France, it might also be available on Delta. So click this arrow at the top. We prefer using Delta miles instead of Air France miles if it's available on Delta, and usually they have the same availability. So go to the top of your KVS and click on AF and change it to DL. Do the very same search again, and if it's available on DL, we would rather use DL than AF if we can. So just as a standard practice, if it's available on AF, see if you can get it on DL instead and use DL if you can. If you cannot, then go ahead and use AF. Yeah, change them both to business and first. And see, this is CS5, which means it's available. This is CS4, which means it's available. And the date he wanted was the 3rd of April, so we might as well use the 3rd of April. So if you want, you can write down those flight numbers, CZ322, or excuse me, 344, right? And on the left, it's CZ303. And make sure it's not a really long layover. Oops, that's an overnight layover. Gets there at 18:10, doesn't leave till the next day. So that's not good. Let's look down the list and see. Here's one that gets there at 6 and leaves at 9:30. So that's the one we want. That's a lot better. So it's actually CZ322. And you see this CZ322 right here, and also CZ303, because those are the ones with the best layover. This one at the top gets there as 18, doesn't leave till the +1. That means it's an overnight stay. This one gets there at 6 a.m. the next day and leaves 3 hours later at 9:30. So that's a good one. So that's CZ322 and 303. That's not necessarily the flights we use, but those are the ones that we're probably going to use that we're going to look for. Okay, so we have the outbound on Singapore Air. We have the return on Delta. Okay, so that means that we've got to put this in our award calculator, and that means we got to find out how many miles it is. And the only way to find out how many miles it is to go to the website of the airline that's offering it to us. So we got to go to Singapore Air, and we're going to put in the 8th of February because that's what we found on KVS. And we're going to always click redeem flights right there. And we're going to put in the cities, which is LHR to MEL. LHR on the top, MEL on the bottom. From LHR, the trip starts in LHR. And it's always better if you click the city rather than just have the 3 letters there. So put LHR, and then when the city shows up, click on it. LHR, and then when it pops up there, click on that London, so you get the whole thing in there. Then the 2 is MEL, and when it pops up, then click on Melbourne. It's always better to have the cities. And on Singapore Air, you always do everything as 2 one-ways, and then you use it put it in the award calculator as 2 different lines. Even if you are using Singapore miles both directions, you still do it as 2 one-ways in Singapore Air. That's just one of the rules of that particular airline. Everything is always 2 one-ways. So no matter what, we're going to search it as 2 one-ways all the time. Only on Singapore Air. That just applies to that one airline. Well, there's other airlines that like that too, but Singapore Air applies to. Okay, one person. We're looking for rewards. It says redeem flights. Hit search. The reason we're looking for rewards is that's our business. We buy tickets with points and sell them to people for a discount for money. Okay, and if it doesn't work, let's see, it's still thinking, so maybe it is working. Okay, so type in your membership number that you have taped to your computer screen, in my opinion, so you don't have to go click anywhere to find it, but if that's better for you, whatever way is better for you. Click it and put it in there, put your password in there. Be sure and click remember me so that hopefully after a while you don't have to do this, put it in every time. Click save at the top. Always let Google save it. It'll save you time. Okay, now we already know that KVS said it's probably available on the 8th of February. So let's see, we've got the 8th of February, and we already know that we're probably going to fly in Singapore flight 305 and 207. What do you know? There they are. KVS told us that. And whoops, KVS said it should be available saver miles, but it's not. So either somebody already bought it or else KVS wasn't quite accurate. So let's see, let's move down the page and see. Okay, well okay, wait, keep going. Aha, here's one that's available. And what do you know? It's SQ 317, so write that down. It's a little different flights than KVS told us, so somebody's bought a ticket or something while we were messing around with it. It's a little bit different information now. But if you notice on the left, it's SQ flight 317 and 217. Write those down. You'll notice this is available because it's got a dot you can click. And notice it's a good layover. It's only 2 hours and 55 minutes. And it's not an 18-hour layover or something. So this is a perfect flight. And so click that dot right there. Now, when you click the dot, notice what happens. It offers it to us for a discount because even though that dot said 90,000 miles, It's offering it to us for 80,000 because when you book online, it offers a discount. So we're going to take the discount and we're going to get this 80,750 and put that in your award calculator. So go to your award calculator. And by the way, when you paste it in there, you've got to always get rid of any dollar signs or commas. So go to your award calculator. And if you try and paste it in with that comma, it may not work. It goes right here. You may have to get rid of that comma. Okay, and be careful that you've got the right number of zeros and things. So it's 80750. Don't have an extra zero on it. 80750, that's perfect. Okay, now for the taxes, go back to the Singapore Air website and copy that Great Britain pounds 410.77. Just copy that. Always get the numbers with no commas and no dollar signs, and then go to a new tab and go to a website. Well, you've got the shortcut saved already for the money conversion tab, so just click that from a new tab, and then on the left you're going to type GBP for Great Britain pounds. GBP. Okay, and then at the bottom just paste that in there and make sure there's no commas and no dollar signs. I want to emphasize this. If there's a comma or a dollar sign, it'll give you the wrong answer over here. You cannot have a comma or a dollar sign ever when you copy and paste things. So if this was 2,410, watch what happens if you put a 2 comma in front of that 410. Put a 2 and a comma in front of it, in front of the 4. In front of the 4. See how this dollars is all wrong? It says $5. So get rid of that comma, and now it's the right dollars. And you copy this entire thing, including all the decimals and everything, and you go put that in your award calculator as the currency. So in other words, the taxes are always in US dollars. So put that right here. And we're doing this for one person. Be sure, and so we do not have to hit the split button if you're already doing it for one person. You only hit the split if the miles and taxes that it gave you covers 2 people or 3 people or something. Because this is already one person, we do not hit the split. Okay, and your standard profit that you put in the yellow box at the bottom is generally 400. So put 400 there. And you can modify that, and I'll show you how and why. But just put 400 and then click off of it into the white area. Just click the white area anywhere so that you know that you're out of that box. Okay, now we've got one direction. We still need the other direction. So go to the top of your screen, and remember the other miles we're going to use is delta. So it's just second line, put DL tab tab. If you just type DL tab tab, you won't have to go look for it. Type DL tab tab and hit the tab twice. And then we got to go find out how many delta miles. So to do that, go to the Delta website on a new tab and just go to delta.com, because we're using different miles. We're not using Singapore Air miles. We're using Delta this time. And on the Delta website, you just have to make sure that you put in, okay, we're going to go one way. And remember, we're going the return. So now it's Melbourne to London. And the date, let's see, find the one-way button, click on one-way. And then it's Melbourne to London, because this is the return. This is the homeward trip. Just type in MEL, one way, MEL to LHR there. And the date is the 3rd of April. And notice that we always want the 3rd of April. Notice that we always want to get the price in miles, not in money. So you need to click on miles or rewards, or search for awards, or whatever the terminology they use on the website is. So we're using miles. It's one way. This is the return. So now it's Melbourne back to London. This is the right date. It's one person, and we don't want the main cabin. We want business or first. And that's just the lowest one, the one farthest down. That's the business or first class. And then Delta, they call it Delta 1, which is the same thing as first or business. And then you click on Find Flights. And this will probably show us what we found on KVS. That's why we used KVS, because it told us to come and try the 3rd of April, and it told us to come and try Delta Airlines. So it saved us time. It told us what to do. So now on this, first of all, notice at the top that we're buying it in miles. That's right. Then notice if you slide down the page, one thing you want to do is get one that costs the least miles. So slide down the page and see if there's one that costs more, just for fun. Keep going. Okay, this one, it just so happens that these are all 90,000, but usually there's different amounts of miles. So obviously you want to try and pick the least amount of miles. They're all the same. After you get the least amount of miles, then you want to pick the one that's the shortest trip. This is a 29-hour trip. So go down the page and see if there's one that's less than 29 hours. Keep on going. Here's one that's 25 hours. That's less. Whoop, where'd you go? 25 hours is less. So keep on going and see if there's anything less than 25 hours. So that's the fastest one. Not only that, not only does it say 25 hours here, but it gives you a tip. This is the fastest one, okay? So once you get the one for the lowest amount of miles, then after that, you want the one with the shortest trip right here. And it so happens that this one, the lowest miles and the shortest trip is all the same thing. And then you look and make sure it doesn't have like a 24-hour layover or an 18-hour layover or something. So this one has a reasonable layover. It's a good cost. It's a short flight. So that's a good one. So hit select. And notice it says we're going to show the price in miles. That's good. That's what we want. Notice that both of the flights are in business class. They don't say economy. That's good. And you always get the miles and taxes from down here at the bottom, because if there's extra fees added later, you want to be sure and have all the fees added in. So you get them from down at the bottom here. So this is 90,000 points, and the money is in Australian dollars. So you got to change the taxes to US dollars still. So first go to your award calculator, and on the second line that's Delta miles, you put in the 90, just hit 90, tab, get rid of the 0 and hit 90, tab. Get rid of the 0 first. That's 900,000. You got to get rid of the 0 first. Get rid of everything first. Get rid of everything first. Erase everything. Everything. Erase everything. Hit 90, tab. 90 and hit the tab key twice. That's the best way to put it in, because it'll add the zeros for you. So it's better to erase everything that's there, hit 90, tab. This one up here, you couldn't do that because it wasn't just zeros. You had to put in the 80750 yourself, because it's not all zeros. But when it's all zeros, you just hit 90, tab, and it'll put in the zeros for you. And you got to be careful that you don't have an extra 0 by mistake. See, that's 90,000, so you're good, right? Okay, and then now you go get the taxes from Delta. So go back to the Delta website and get the taxes, which are 177. You never get the taxes from up above. You only get things from down at the bottom. Never get things from above. You only get them from down at the bottom. Otherwise, you get the wrong number, because they don't have everything added in yet. So if you get it from the bottom, it's 90,000 miles, and there's the taxes, 177.95 Australian. This 80 is wrong, and this 97 is wrong. What you need is the number from the bottom, 177.95. So copy that. Go put it on your Red Cross currency. Make sure there's no dollar signs and no commas. And so go put it in here. At your Red Cross, go to your Red Cross tab and type AUD in here. Just type AUD right there, AUD. Okay, and then click Australian dollars and then paste that in there. No dollar signs and no commas. Oops. Yeah, paste that in there. No dollar signs and no commas. So you gotta get it in there with no dollar signs and no commas.
Let me just double check that real quick.
Yeah, make sure you got the right amount.
177.95. Oh, what happened?
I'm not sure. Just keep on going. Try. Does it want you to click share screen again?
Yeah, I guess so. So let me.
Or maybe back to meeting. I'm not sure. Somehow one of us
There you go.
got back to meeting. Okay. So you're converting. It's 177.95. Just type it in. It'd probably work better. 177. Okay, so you got it. Now you do not touch this red. Let me get my marker back again. You do not touch this red thing. You don't need to do anything there. All you do is type in the AUD here, put in the price with no dollar signs and no commas, and then make sure this looks logical. It's not $1 or something, you know. And so then you copy this entire thing, including all 4 decimals, and go put it in your award calculator where the taxes go. And right here, put it right there. Oh, I'm wrong. You're right. You're right. Put it here. Get rid of the zeros first, and then paste it in there. And make sure it looks logical. It's not $1,300 or something weird. So the miles look logical, 90 and 80. The taxes look logical. Okay, so now normally go down to the bottom. The yellow box at the bottom normally is 400. Sometimes you modify it a little bit. For example, on this one, let me look at it a second. See how the Australian dollars that we're going to quote it in is 48.92. That's good. You know, we could add another $5 to this, make it 405, just for fun. Make it 405. What you're trying to do is make the currency that applies to where they live to be something like 48.95. See, now it's 48.99. So that's good. So write down this 405. That's called the GP. Okay, that's the amount of profit that the company is going to make if this person buys this ticket. The GP is the profit that the company makes if the person buys this ticket. And you're the one that determines the GP, and it's roughly $400, but then you make the currency come out to, you know, 48.95 or 48.94 or 48.98 or something like that, so that it's, you know, close to the next higher dollar, right? So you just add a little bit sometimes, or take away a little bit sometimes. Like if this was 49.01, obviously you'd reduce this a little bit to make it more like 47.95 or something. Okay, so you're the one that determines this, and if you're not sure what to put here, just put 400 all the time. If you put 400 every time, that's okay. That's fine. You're okay. But I'm just telling you that you don't have to always put 400. Like here we put 405 because what's the difference if it's 48.91 or 48.99? You know what I mean? Might as well make an extra $5 for the company and raise it a little bit. But that's up to you, and you don't have to change it. You can just put 400 on everything if you want. Okay, so now this is telling us that we're going to sell it for this much in US dollars, and he lives in Australia. Oh, wait a minute, he lives in England, doesn't he? So actually, he's going to see his price in pounds. So actually, it's this right here. So that's fine. We'll leave it like that. So eventually, the quote's going to say it's 29.49 pounds, and it's going to say $36.91, but it doesn't say that yet. Okay, so what we're going to do now, after you've got all your miles and taxes in here, slide up to the top and double check yourself. Okay, have I got the right flights? I got the right miles. I got my taxes in here. I didn't forget to put in the taxes. I got the right miles. I don't have an extra zero. Everything looks good. Okay, slide down to the very bottom, and after you get all this information in here, you click this middle button right here that says Export XML. And after you click that middle button, then you click the white area over here so that you're in this box, and then hit Control A like Apple. Control A like Apple to highlight everything, and then Control C to copy it. Control C to copy it. Okay, now you've copied that. Now you go to your quote, which is your far left tab. Okay, and you click on financial info, and that's where this math line goes, is financial info. So click financial info, and once you've got all the right financial info, you're going to click this import button. Okay, so click that blue import button, and a box pops up, and you just hit Control V like Victor to paste it in there, then hit OK. Okay, so you've pasted in your math line, but you still have a couple things to do. You have to put in the comparison retail price. If you don't know it, you can guess. This does not have to be exactly right. Just roughly, what do you think they'd be paying for this if they didn't buy it from us? And I'll show you how to find out what to put in there. Then this local currency is where they live. Where does he live? He's starting his trip in London. So what kind of currency do they use in London? If you don't know, Google it, and you'll find out it's Great Britain pounds. Now, when you change it to pounds, you do not change it to pounds right off the bat. You always change it to something that you do not want first, and then change it to what you do want. You can Google it, put currency for London if you want right here, if you don't know what it is. Currency for London, and it'll tell you that it's Great Britain pounds. Currency for London. Because see, his trip is starting in London, so we got to quote him as currency. So it's Great Britain pounds, it says right here. Okay, so the currency for London is Great Britain pounds. Okay, so that means that in your quote over here, you're going to use Great Britain pounds. Now, if you can't find the currency, like let's say they're from Arabia or something, and you can't find the currency you need, then you change it to something you do not want and change it to dollars. Dollars is what you use if you can't find the right one. But this one, it's British pounds, which is way at the top. Pound sterling, that's Great Britain pounds. However, you don't change it to that first. You change it to something you do not want first, and then change it to what you do want. The reason you change it to something you do not want first is so that it'll refresh it, it'll calculate it. You know, if you just change it straight to pound sterling, this pound sterling down here might be wrong. So you change it to what you don't want, then change it what you do want, and then for sure it's refreshed itself. So this is the pounds. Remember I said it was 29 something? This is the dollars. So it's going to quote them both US dollars and British pounds on the quote. Now, the only thing that we're missing is you've got to put a retail price in here. So when you import the calc, the first thing you do is change this to the right currency and also fix this. To find out what this is, we're going to go to Matrix. So go to a new tab. Oh, you have Matrix open already. Sorry. Go to your Matrix. And we're going to put in those flight numbers that we wrote down. So click Modify Search and put round trip, because it's a round trip. And then put the city is LHR, and it's going to Mel. And then click this button right here that says Advanced Routing Codes. And then these are the flight numbers. You're going to put SQ317 because you wrote it down from the website. SQ317 and then a space and then SQ217. And then down here, you wrote down on the website CZ322. These are the flight numbers that we want, CZ322 and CZ303. Once you get the hang of this, you'll go fast at this, trust me. Okay, and then this is the 8th of February, I think. Was it the 8th we found? Go back to the Singapore site and make sure it was on the 8th. It could have been the 7th or something. It's on the 8th right there. So yeah, that's right, the 8th. And then the return is on the 3 of April. And then we want to see business class or first class, so instead of cheapest. and it's not non-stop. It's any number of stops or one stop each way. Either way, just put up no limit. Just put no limit. Okay, and then you always uncheck this when you're doing rewards, and then you always put US dollars here, and then you click search. Now sometimes it'll find these flights and sometimes it won't, so let's see if it finds them. Okay, it found them. So you always automatically click the duration button at the top and then click on sort by duration, because you want the shortest ones to come to the top, because chances are you want that shortest one. If you point over here, the word details will show up. Point over here and the word details will show up. See that word details right there? And when you click those details, make sure it's the right flight numbers: 317, 217, 322, 303. But not only that, make sure it's the right layover. Make sure this layover isn't like 24 hours or something. Make sure this layover isn't 18 hours or something. So you got the right flight numbers, the right date, the February 8th, 3rd of April. So you got the right flight numbers, the right date, the right layover, and the right airlines. Everything's right. When it's right, you click this price. And when you want to copy from here, the first thing you do is use your left mouse and just click once right there while I have that red dot. Don't hit the black line, but go right below it and just click once with the left mouse. Then hold your shift key. Wait a minute. No, start over. Start over again. So you click once right here and hold your shift key and then click once at the bottom, and it highlights all of it for you. Click once, hold the shift, and click after the word business down here at the bottom. Click it once, hold the shift, and click after the word business down here. Oops, nope, you didn't do it. Try it again. So click once where the red line is. Click once where the red line is. Nothing will happen. Hold the shift key, and then click once after the word business down here with the left mouse. See how it highlighted all of it for you? You didn't have to paint it. It's a lot better to do it this way for a bunch of reasons. Just trust me, do it that way. You click once with the left mouse, nothing will happen. Hold the shift key and click the bottom after the word business, or sometimes you have to click after the date down here to get it all. But anyway, just click once down in here somewhere and you'll get it all. And then hit Control C like Charlie. And then you go to your quote and then hit itinerary info, step 3, and click in the white box and then Control V to paste it in there. Okay, now don't adjust anything, just click Save Itinerary and it'll adjust itself. Then come and remove, go ahead and hit close. Come and remove these symbols because they tend to send us to spam, okay? And then you've got to look at the longest flights and decide if they're a flatbed or not. You don't have to worry about oh, these are all long flights. All 4 of them are long. When I say long, I'm talking about like over, over 6 hours. That's 12 hours, 7 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours. So you're actually going to look up all 4 of these to find out if they're a flatbed or not. So let me show you how to do that. Go to a new tab and go to Seat Guru. You've got a Seat Guru shortcut saved here. And in Seat Guru, you put in your first flight number, which is SQ317, and the date, which is the 8th of February. These are the same. You can copy them from your sticky note. They're the same ones you copied in for SQ317, and put in your date, which is 8th of February, and then hit go. If you're looking it up, and it's forcing you to put Singapore Air over here, so go ahead and put Singapore Air over there. Sometimes it requires that, sometimes it doesn't. Go down to Singapore Air. You can just type SQ next time if you want. Go. Okay, view map. And on the far right where it says business class, see right here, flatbed seats with 180 degrees. Whoops, where'd it go? Right there. Flatbed seats with 180 degrees because it's business class. So that's a flatbed. So go back to your quote. You're going to type class flatbed, business class flatbed. You want it to say business class flatbed, space class, then hit enter, and then flatbed. Okay, I'll give you a little hint. Anytime you see an A380, it's a flatbed. So this one's an A380, it's a flatbed. So you don't even have to look it up if it's an A380. Just enter flatbed. And this A330, you'll have to look up. So go to Seat Guru and put CZ322. Okay, let's see. CZ322, the date is 3rd of April. It may not force you to put the China Southern over there, so try it without it. The 3rd of April. Don't bother to change this yet until it forces you to. Usually you can leave that and just use this CZ over here and it'll usually let you do it. So try it. You don't need to put the airline over here unless it forces you to. Looks like it's forcing you to, so go ahead and put China Southern there. China Southern. If you put China Southern, you can leave off the CZ if you want to. You can just put 322. It should work either way. That's on the 3rd of April. Hit go, and then hit view map, and then look at the far right. Business angle flat seat. So that's business class angle flat seat, or angle flat bed, I mean. So go back to your quote and put class angle flat bed. Okay, and then go to the Seat Guru and put the other flight number in there, China Southern 303. CZ 303. Because it says China Southern over here, you can leave off the CZ if you want to. It's optional. Try just 303 without the CZ just to make sure I'm right. And view map. And this is flatbed. So go over there and put business class flatbed. Okay, and make sure you hit save after everything you do. Okay, so now I want to show you something on the matrix. Back to matrix. Remember, the financial info needs the retail price. So you can guess at it if you want to, but what's even better than guessing at it is get the real retail price. If they went and bought this from the airline, it's $11,779. So go over to the quote, and instead of guessing at the retail price, you can see it's $11,779, right? That's how much they would pay for it if they called the airline. So go over to your quote on the top left tab and click on the financial info, because remember, we're still missing the retail price and financial info. So put that price that was in there. And never put any commas or dollar signs. No commas, no dollar signs, okay? And then go down and hit save. And you know, that price is so high, it doesn't matter if you have the right price in the retail price or not. It just matters that it's, you know, at least 1,000 more hit goes. If you didn't know the retail price, you can just, you know, guess that we're saving them 1,000 or 2. This one, we're saving them a lot more than that. So what I'm telling you is this retail price, you use the one that Matrix says, But if you can't figure out the right retail price, you can guess and just put whatever you want. As long as it's higher than a couple thousand. You know what I mean? So this retail price does not have to be exact, but these prices are exact. These are the prices we're selling it for. This is just an estimate at the top of what they would have paid if they never called us. Okay, so notice that when you import the award calc, notice that you have to somehow come up with the retail price by guessing at it or getting it from Matrix. You got to put the currency of where they live. This trip is starting in London, so that's why we're using London type currency here. So then we're going to quote them the price in London currency, and we're going to quote them the price in US dollars. Okay, so this quote is done because we have the itinerary in there. We have the math line. We already did this. Now we're going to do step 4, which is quote send. So hit quote send. And there's 3 things to do. First of all, skip this complicated screen. When you see all this weird stuff, skip it. Don't touch it. Don't do anything to this complicated screen, but instead go and hit preview and send again. Okay, and on this preview and send screen, there's 3 things to do before you send the quote. Okay, the first thing to do is you copy in this paragraph that I'm going to give you. Do you have it yet? Let's see. Let me get it for you. So everybody copy this paragraph from Skype that I'm going to give you. And this goes in each one of your quotes, and I'll show you where. It starts out, you will not be earning reward miles. Okay, so where that goes is, so go copy that out of your Skype. And let me tell you where that goes. Yeah, it goes right where you put it. Okay, that's the first thing you do. You copy in that paragraph into each one. The second thing you do is go get the US dollar price. So slide down the page and find the US dollar price. And again, no commas, no dollar signs. Go back up. You passed it. Go back up. Stop. 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 Do you see that 36.91? That's the US dollar price. So you copy that with no dollar signs and no commas, and you put it up here in the subject line. And then paste it in there. Then after that, put whatever you want. By the way, make the USD so that the word dollars is spelled out, DOLLARS. And no dollar signs and no commas, and put a space, and you can just put like business class or something. Business class. Okay. So notice that we did one way on Singapore Air, we did one way on Delta miles. That's why we had 2 lines in the award calculator. We had a line for Singapore miles, we had a line for Delta miles. And then the award calculator added all that up, added $400 profit for the company, and came up with this price, right? So there's 3 things that you do before you send a quote. The first thing is you copy in that paragraph. The second thing is you fix the subject line. And the third thing is go to the very bottom of your screen and put in, and you click this white area and then hit the enter key. And that'll put your down here. Put the first part of your email address. So yours is Danilo or Dan B or whatever it is. Danilo B. Okay, then a hyphen or a dash. And that's the amount of seats that you search for, which is 1 in this case. And then a dash, and then 405, which is your GP that you used. I think it was 405, but never put a dollar sign or a comma. And instead of a 0, you always use a G. So 405 is 4G5. We use a G as a code for a 0 in this code down here. So if the GP was 400, it would be 4GG is 400, okay? And yours is 405, so it's 4G5. $405 the company will make if they buy it. So this is the first part of your email. This is how many seats you searched for. But if you searched for 2 seats, the price of the quote is still for 1 person. The quote up here at the top is always 1 person, okay? So even if you search for 3 seats, this is still going to be priced per person for 1 person. Okay, so slide to the top of your screen just to review. There's 3 things you do before you send the quote after you've got this screen up. Remember, when the complicated screen comes up, you do nothing, but instead you hit preview and send. Then you get to this screen and you copy in this paragraph. You move the US dollar price up here and just add a couple of words like business class or something. Then slide to the bottom and put in your code. Those are the 3 things. Insert the paragraph, fix the subject line, and put in your code. Then hit send mail right there. Okay, and after you send the mail, it says it's been sent successfully, so you hit close. Now stop after you do that. Let's say at this point you can't remember, did I send this for sure or not? I'm not sure if I sent this for sure or not. If you're not sure if you sent it, close it. Don't send it again. Close it with this X at the top. So hit that X. If you're not sure if you sent it, close it first, then slide to the top of your screen. And notice right here where it says researching, refresh your screen by hitting either F5 or the refresh button. And if you sent it, that word will automatically all by itself change to the word sent. So then you know for sure, oh, I wasn't sure I sent it, but I can see obviously I did send it, because when I hit refresh, that doesn't say researching anymore, it says sent. If you refresh it and it still says researching, then you got to go down to the bottom of your screen and hit send quote again, and then send it because you didn't send it. But if you send it and you're not sure you sent it, you close it, come back to the screen, hit the F5 key to refresh, or you can just hit this arrow up here to refresh. And then if it automatically changes to sent, you know you sent it. Okay, so save this recording. Oh, by the way, after this, you just go back to quotes needed again, because this one's done. Go back to quotes needed again, and then go back to the workflow, or you could have done it right from where you were, but let's go back to the workflow on this one and hit not new, because you're not going to start a new quote. You're going to hit the plus symbol, and you're going to go to the one that you just sent, slide down the page, and you're going to hit edit, and then the request workflow, and change it to say completed. The workflow, step 1. Okay, this, remember it says working here, so you double click SQ, and when the thing pops up, right in there, sent SQ one way and CZ return. Sent SQ one way and CZ or DL return. You can say CZ or Delta, it's the same. Sent SQ one way and DL return, because you use Delta miles. DL return. Then hit submit. That tells everybody else that's coming in to work on this, because somebody else is going to come in and try and do this one using British Air or Asia Miles or Cathay or some other kind of miles. So this is just telling them, hey, if you're going to try and use Singapore one way and Delta return, I did already. In fact, I sent it. Okay, it just tells everybody what happened. Okay, so now go back to quotes needed at the top of your screen and go to the next one. And the next one is anything that looks logical for going through whatever. And here's another one that says Sydney. You don't know what the other city is, so click the plus and read what they've done so far. And let's see. This one's already had 2 quotes sent. I'm going to have to teach these guys to put what kind of miles that they use, because you need to be able to look right here and say, oh, this one's Asia miles, this one's SQ, this one's AC. And I haven't taught these other existing quoters yet to do that, but I'm going to have to hurry up and do that, because it's a pain for you to have to go look at these and see, okay, click edit on this one, see what he used. So click edit on this one, either one. and make sure it wasn't Singapore Air mile. Okay, so go in and look at the itinerary, make sure it's not Singapore Air. Okay, that one's not Singapore Air, so we're good. So go back again, hit the back arrow, and then check the other one by hitting edit. Plus, and go down and hit the other one, edit, and make sure, I think that's the same one you just checked, isn't it? And hit the itinerary and make sure it's not Singapore Air. Make sure somebody didn't already do it. Just making sure itinerary, Singapore Air. So let's go up here to the request workflow and mark that Singapore is already done by JASM. Do you see this right here? I've got to train him to, we didn't used to do these two steps. That's why they don't know. So click the request workflow checklist right here and put in the SQ biz right here. Double click it and change it to JASM and put sent and put completed and submit. He should have done that, but I haven't trained him to do that yet. That's why he didn't. You could put sent, actually. He sent it. Type sent, S-E-N-T. Okay, and then submit. Okay, so you would skip that one, okay? And then you just go on to the next one. To go on to the next one, you go to the top. Click quotes needed. Find one that's going through Singapore or should go through Singapore. In other words, anything that goes to America, to Europe, to Australia, you know, those are all obviously going to go through Singapore. Here's one that would be good to go through Singapore, London to Singapore to Manila. This one from Vegas to Europe, that would not be Singapore, right? Here, let me go through a few with you just to clarify. If you were traveling from London to the Philippines, it's logical that you might change planes in Singapore. So you'd do that one. You'd skip this Vegas to Europe one. You'd skip Tel Aviv to New York City. You wouldn't go from Tel Aviv backwards all the way to Singapore to get to New York. So these that I'm looking at, the only one that you would actually work on is this one. Okay, slide down the page. Let's look at some more. Let's see, let me get rid of my note here. So do you see what I'm doing is if you're going to go from Brazil to Tel Aviv, Singapore is not on the way, so you wouldn't do that one. If you're going to go from Milan to Los Angeles, Singapore is not on the way, you wouldn't do that one. So the ones you would not do is this one, this one, this one, San Francisco to Delhi. That one you could go through Singapore, so you might do that one. San Francisco to Singapore to India. Brisbane to Dubai, that's a good one. You'd go through Singapore to do that one. Puerto Rico to Europe, no, you wouldn't go through Singapore to do that. So we found this one and this one. None of these would be logical to go through Singapore. You wouldn't go from Seoul backwards to Singapore to get to Vegas. Athens to LA, you wouldn't go backwards. So in this whole page right here, the only two you would even try are these two. And you just you get to know these by just looking at them. You know, you say, look, I'm not going to go from Europe backwards to Singapore to get to LA. I'm going to go from Europe straight to New York, right? So you only do the ones that are obvious that you should work on, because you want to do them, the obvious ones, because you want to do them fast, because you're getting paid only for the ones that you do. You don't get paid for doing ones that you don't do, right? So these two are the ones that you'd work on. And then slide down the page over here on the right. After you do those two, then you'd slide down the page and look for two more obvious ones. And you work on the obvious ones. If you're not sure, then go ahead and try it. Like London to Seattle, you wouldn't go through Singapore to get from England to United States, right? Paris to JFK, you wouldn't go through Singapore. London to New York, skip that. This one you would go through Singapore because it's going from Europe to Singapore to the Philippines. So there's a good one that you would work on. Bahrain and Saudi Arabia to get to the US, you wouldn't go through Singapore. It's going backwards. But this Melbourne to London one, that's a good one. So this is a good one, Melbourne to London, because Singapore's on the way. What was the other one we circled? Stockholm to Manila, that's a good one. Nairobi to London, you wouldn't go through Singapore. London to Atlanta, no. Sydney to Tokyo, yeah, okay, yeah, you might go through Singapore. You go from Australia to Singapore to Tokyo, that makes sense. So on this page, there's just these 3 that you would even try, because that'll save you time. If you try all these others that are not even logical, you're going to learn really fast, wait, those are not Singapore's route. So if you're the Singapore specialist, you're going to know just by looking at them, these are the 3 I'm going to work on this page. When you're done with those 3, slide down the page again. Get another page full of them. Slide down the page again. And go down farther so that those disappear. Just get a whole new page. Okay, let's just look at these. Johannesburg to Vietnam. Yes, that's logical. Buenos Aires to China. Yeah, that could be. Johannesburg to Mexico City. Don't think so. LA to Brisbane. Yeah, you could go LA to Singapore to Brisbane. And I'm just saying that after a while, Bangkok to London, I suppose you could go Bangkok to Singapore to London. JFK to Hong Kong, you could go, no, you wouldn't use that one. And so my point is, after a while, you're just going to know these are the 4 that you'd work on this page. The rest of them, you're going to skip them. You're not even going to try because they're not logical. Okay, does anybody have a question before I cut it off for today? I'll be back here 6 a.m. Philippine time, and I'll be back here at 12:30 noon time Philippine time tomorrow. So 6 in the morning or midday, 12:30 noon time Philippine time is when I'm here. Other times than that, you can ask me specific questions, but only when my Skype light is green. Like watch, my Skype light is green right now, but watch, it's now yellow, which means I'm away. So if my Skype light is green, ask me questions and hopefully I'll answer if I'm not too busy, and I'll help you if I'm not too busy. But other than that, I'm always here 6 a.m. Philippine time and 12:30 noon time Philippine time. Before I hang up, any questions really quick?
Yeah, I just have one quick question. This is Crystal, by the way.
Okay.
As to the number of quotes, is there a limit, a number wherein we should stop and not send any more quotes?
You mean for a particular customer, or do you mean
yes,
for how many you do in a day?
For a particular customer.
No, as long as nobody else has sent a Singapore Air quote, or in your case, you're concentrating on Qantas.
Yes.
As long as nobody else has sent a Qantas quote, you definitely send one to everybody if it's logical. What makes it logical is that we're saving them money and nobody else sent a Qantas quote yet. You're a specialist in Qantas, so as long as they haven't had a Qantas quote yet, and as long as when you try and do the Qantas quote, it's going to save them money, then yes, you would send it. Okay?
Okay.
But you don't send it if we're not saving them money, and you don't send it if somebody else already did.
Yes.
Okay? So, and by the way, once you get better trained and you can handle more than one airline, you might send 3 quotes to the same person. You might send one for Qantas, one for Singapore Air, and one for Air Canada. If you're trained on all 3 of those airlines and you know what you're doing, and if nobody else sent a quote for that same airline, and if we're saving them money. The 2 things that have to be true, we have to be saving them money. The price has to be lower than Matrix. And number 2, make sure none of our other quoters have already done that same airline. That's it. If nobody else has done it, then you send one to everybody. If the flights are available and we're saving them money and nobody else did it, send them a quote. And then to answer your other question, which you didn't ask, is how many quotes can you do in a day? And there's no limit. Do as many as you can. But obviously each quote, takes some time. And while you're learning, each quote takes quite a while. Because I went through every step and explained everything, heck, this one quote took us like 2 hours, But once you get, so you know what you're doing, you can do a quote in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. You know what I mean? It just goes a lot faster once you know what you're doing. If I didn't have to explain everything and I just went zip, 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 available, not available, zip, 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 available, not available. Okay, here's the outbound, here's the return. 10 minutes later, I'm done. You see what I mean?
Okay.
So
All right.
that's why we want you to specialize in one airline at first, because we, like in your case, you're specializing in Qantas. We want you to know that Qantas website like the back of your hand. I mean, you can zip through it in 15 seconds and if the flights are available or not. We soon, tomorrow maybe, I'll teach you how to use KVS, and KVS will help you so that you can find out if the flights are available before you even go to the Qantas website. In 15 seconds, put in the cities, put in the dates, boom, it's either there with a CS Plus or it's not. If he's not flexible, you're done. If he's flexible, you click the up arrow, down arrow, check other days, find out what's the days available. If it's available, you go to the Qantas website, you get the miles and taxes, you copy and paste them, you copy and paste the flights in a matrix, you copy and paste them over to the quote. 15 minutes later, you're done. It's gone. It's sent.
Okay. Donald, I do have a question as well.
Okay.
Okay. For the login that you have provided to us, can we use that to practice? To provide our practice quotation, perhaps?
Yes. If you're not sure you did it right, just don't send it.
I see.
If you're pretty sure you did it right, then yes, go ahead and send it. And if you send it, you're going to get paid for it.
Okay. All right. So it will just be automatically provided in your feed in your perhaps in your website.
Well, when you say practice, you're gonna choose an actual quote needed to practice on, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're choosing an actual real quote needed to practice on, and you've made a quote and it looks right to you, Skype me and ask me if you want me to check it. But if you're pretty sure it's right, go ahead and send it, and it counts, and you'll get paid $1 for it, and it's a real quote, and the customer's really going to get it.
I see.
If you're not confident that you did it right, then go all the way to the send screen, but just don't send it.
Okay.
And then ask me to check it for you before you do send it, if you'd like.
Okay.
If you're pretty sure you did it right and everything looks right, you've got a retail price in there, and you've got the miles, and you've got everything, and you watch the video and you checked yourself and you're pretty sure it's right, go ahead and send it, and it's a real quote and you'll get paid for it. But if you're not sure, then take it as far as you are sure, take it as far as you want, just don't go all the way to send, and instead Skype me and ask me to come and look at it and check it with you before you send it.
I see. All right. I understand then.
So yes, you can practice, but you're practicing on real customers, and if you send it, you get paid for it.
Okay. I see.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, Donald, I have a concern.
Okay.
Here. Yeah, do these guys already have their logins? I still don't have any.
If you don't have a login, then go to the login link and fill out your information. What is your name?
Donna.
Okay. Did you fill out the staff enrollment form yet?
I'm sorry. No.
Okay. So let me give you the link for that in Skype. Okay. Just 1 second and I'll go get it for you.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
And then you fill that out, and then you'll have a login within a couple of days. Just a moment.
All right. Thank you.
I'm looking for my login link. Just a second. Actually, I'll put it in the Skype after I hang up, because it's going to be easier for me to end the meeting and then put it in Skype, okay? So watch. Are you in the group Skype? Do you get the group messages?
Yes. Okay. I'll just wait for it.
Yeah, watch for it in there, and it'll say staff enrollment form. let's see, maybe I can put it in this meeting one, just a second. I've got my notes hidden by the meeting itself. Let me see, let me find it. Where did I have so many notes, I don't see. I don't
Oh,
see
well,
where.
that would
I'll
be
just do it after the meeting,
yeah.
okay?
Yes, I can wait.
Yeah,
Thank you
and then
so much.
just wait a couple days and you'll have a login. In the meantime, until you do have a login, do you have access to all those videos that are online?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Just
I'll
keep
just
watching
observe
those.
for the meantime.
Yeah. And then I'll send you the link for the login. And if you don't see it, just Skype me individual and say, what's the link to get my login?
Okay.
Send a Skype to donald.fcda. Okay?
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
I'm going to end the meeting. I'll see you at 6 a.m. Philippine time or 12:30 noon time Philippine time. In the
All right.
meantime,
Thanks, Don.
yeah, you're welcome. In the meantime, be sure and watch the videos that are saved in the video training library. Okay? Bye-bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Welcome.